You know that voice? The one inside your head that just doesn't stop?
Oh, yeah. The constant commentary track.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Doubts, worries, anxieties. It's like this background static all the time. It can be overwhelming, right?
totally. Especially, I think, when you're trying to, you know, navigate a demanding job, or maybe you're just starting to think, is there something more?
Yeah, beginning to explore those deeper questions.
Right. It feels like noise coming at us from everywhere, but honestly, so much of the real noise pollution is like generated right between our own ears.
Well, that's exactly what we're getting into today. We're doing a deep dive on a book that, let's just say it doesn't pull any punches. It's called Shut the Fuck Up, the book your ego hopes you never read.
Uh-huh. Yeah. The title alone tells you something.
It really
And our
does.
mission here is to really unpack the core ideas from the author Lily Winsaft. Because, look, this isn't just for people deep into meditation or yoga retreats. It gives really practical, usable tools. And I think they're especially relevant if you're, say, a professional dealing with high pressure, lots of decisions.
Or even if you're just feeling curious about like spirituality or inner connection but don't know where to start, it feels very grounded.
Exactly. It's about finding, well, clarity, finding some peace, and making real, actual shifts in your life right now using pretty simple methods.
Okay, so let's break it down. What's the main idea here?
At its heart, the book talks about this conflict, this constant battle happening inside us.
A battle.
Yeah, between what she calls the loud outer voice, and that's basically your ego, your fears, all the conditioning from society, parents, whatever.
Okay.
And then there's the quiet inner voice. And that's the voice the book connects to your soul, to your intuition, your, deepest truth, the knowing part.
And that outer voice, it's not just sitting there quietly.
Oh, not a chance. The book makes it clear this voice is active. It's the source of that nagging feeling like, oh, I'm not good enough for this, or going to
Yeah.
mess this up.
Right, the self-doubt stuff.
Yeah, or it's the part that loves drama.
Ah.
Stirring things up in relationships, creating problems at work where maybe there aren't any. It's that internal critic just running on a loop.
I think everyone can relate to that on some level, that constant second guessing.
Absolutely. But the good news is the book isn't just about pointing out the problem. It actually lays out a path, a 10-step guide, essentially,
Okay, 10 steps. To do what exactly?
to help you first recognize that outer voice when it pops up, and then, crucially, learn how to quiet it down.
So you can actually hear the other one, the inner voice.
Precisely. So
Yeah.
that you can finally tune into that deeper wisdom.
What really caught my eye were some of the tools. They feel very accessible, like this concept of discernment.
Ah, yes. That's a big one.
The author shares this great piece of advice from her father about teachings or information you come across. Eat the flesh and spit out the bones. I love that.
It's such a practical image, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so necessary today, with just the sheer volume of information, opinions, advice.
Everywhere, online, at work, even from well-meaning friends.
Right. And this idea gives you permission. It says, hey, take what genuinely resonates with you, with your inner sense of truth, and just let the rest go.
Mm.
No need to argue with it or feel bad about it.
That feels incredibly freeing, especially if you're maybe exploring different spiritual ideas or even just trying to figure out the best approach for a project at work when everyone has a different opinion.
Exactly. It applies everywhere. You don't have to swallow everything whole.
And that kind of ties into another key theme, which is about creating quiet space. The power of pause.
Mm-hmm. In our culture, it feels like we're almost like addicted to speed, to noise, to always doing.
Constantly moving, yeah. Filling every moment.
And the book pushes back against that. It says,
Okay.
hey, slow down, take a pause.
Yeah.
And that stillness, it's not emptiness, it's not boredom. It's actually fullness.
Fullness. How so?
Because it's in that quiet space,
Mhm.
away from the external and internal chatter, that you can actually start to tune in, to hear yourself think, or rather, to hear yourself know.
Okay, so creating space allows you to connect inward. And where does that connection happen? The book talks a lot about the heart.
Yes, the heart is central.
Yeah.
And it's presented not just as the physical pump,
Right.
but as the center of your embodied truth, your innate wisdom. Some traditions call it nu, this encoded knowing that's already within you.
So the inner voice, it speaks through the heart.
That's the idea. It's less about logical deduction, more about this deep intuitive sense, the part of you that bypasses all the mental loops and simply knows. It feels right.
Okay, conceptually that makes sense, but how do you actually do that? How do you connect? Does the book give practical ways?
It absolutely does. And this is where it gets really grounded. One major tool is breath work. conscious breathing.
Just breathing.
Not just automatic breathing, but paying attention to your breath.
Mm-hmm.
Using specific patterns, perhaps. The book presents it as a bridge.
Bridge to what?
A bridge to shift your internal state. Your frequency, you could say. A way to bypass the noisy mind and drop into that heart space, into that inner knowing.
Okay, so the breath is like a tool to quiet the mind and access something deeper.
Exactly. And the author shares a really compelling personal story about this. How she used breath work, guided by her inner voice, her intuition, to actually heal a chronic physical condition that doctors hadn't been able to resolve.
Wow, really?
Yeah. It really highlights how this isn't just about, feeling calmer.
Mm-hmm.
It can have tangible, practical, even physical benefits when you learn to listen and trust that inner guidance.
That really drives home the point about practicality.
It does. And this is why I think the book has such broad appeal, especially for the listeners we mentioned.
Right. Let's talk about professionals, people in demanding careers. How does quieting the ego help them?
Well, think about it. Better clarity.
Right.
Less internal noise means you can see situations more objectively.
Mm.
Make decisions that aren't just driven by fear or the need to prove something.
Okay, less reactive, more responsive.
Exactly. The book includes this really relatable anecdote about the author's own experience leaving a corporate job, driven by that inner voice nudging her, even when it didn't make logical sense at the time.
Trusting the gut feeling, even when the spreadsheets say otherwise.
Pretty much. And there are testimonials mentioned, too, from leaders and people in various careers saying how these principles help them navigate complex challenges, lead more authentically, find more fulfilling paths. It's about integrating that heart knowing with the analytical mind. Right. Not replacing it, but adding a crucial dimension.
That makes a lot of sense for navigating workplace politics or high-stakes decisions.
Definitely. And then for those who are maybe newer to exploring spiritual concepts.
Yeah, people who might feel intimidated by complex philosophies or rituals.
This book is kind of perfect. The language is so direct, simple. The author calls it a crystal clear pool. There's no jargon, no obscurity.
It demystifies things.
Completely. And the core message is so empowering. The wisdom isn't out there with some guru or in some ancient text you have to decode. It's within you right now.
You already have it.
Yes. You just need the tools, like the breathwork, the discernment, the pauses, to clear away the noise and access it.
Mm-hmm.
It puts the power squarely back in your hands.
Yeah.
No external validation needed.
That's huge for someone just starting out. Less chance of getting lost or feeling like they're not doing it right.
Totally. It's very validating.
So ultimately, whether you're a CEO or just someone curious about meditation, the potential benefit seems universal.
I think so. Learning to discern what's true for you. Learning to quiet that relentless outer voice. The outcome the book promises is pretty profound.
Which is?
Accessing your deepest truth. And from that place, living with genuinely more peace, more self-acceptance, more clarity, more joy. Even when life inevitably throws curveballs.
Living more authentically, basically.
That's a great way to put it. Amidst all the chaos, finding your own center.
It's clear this book doesn't hold back. It sounds raw, unfiltered, and maybe even a bit confronting, given the title.
It definitely packs a punch.
Yeah.
But it's coming from a place of wanting you to wake up to your own inner power.
And the feeling I get is that it offers things you can implement now. Not after years of practice, but immediate shifts.
Yes, the tools are designed for immediate application. The awareness itself is the first big step.
So if you're feeling drowned out by the noise, internal or external, and you're ready to actually hear what truly matters beneath it all, this book sounds like a serious contender. A must-read, maybe.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
It's a potent guide back to yourself. Really feels urgent in today's world.
Okay, lots to think about there. So maybe a final thought to leave everyone with, something to chew on after this deep dive.
Go for it.
Right now, just check in for a second. Which voice are you listening to more often? The loud one, full of doubts and shoulds, or that quieter one, the one that simply knows?